What up, Tubes? So last night I joined this guy's live. He was talking about tools, and he was talking about that all this stuff was made in America. And I told him, I says, no, most of it's made in China. So then he wanted to, proceed to give me the bird. Oh, so scared. And he wanted to talk his shit, and then trying to explain to me that rigid is better than everything else. Let me tell you something, Tubby. Are you listening? I doubt it, but let's go for it. If you buy a tool from Harbor Freight, AutoZone, wherever, and it does the job that it was intended to do, did it not work? Regardless if it's manufactured in China or here in America or Timbuktu, Egypt, it did its job. So who gives a shit? Apparently you do. You're like gun snobs. Oh, I only got to have one type of gun, or you need to buy this type of gun because it's more expensive and it'll work better. Not necessarily. Oh, you get what you pay for. And tools, it just depends. Black and Decker, excuse me, Stanley Black and Decker is the number one tool manufacturer that outsells them all in the world. Oh, but they're cheap. They're cheap, 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 cheap. Yeah, you're right. They are cheap, but they work. That's the thing. Now I'll say this about Rigid. Rigid's got some good ass vacuum cleaners. I'll say that. They got one of the biggest nozzles and biggest hoses that you can get for a shop vac style vacuum cleaner. And they're pretty powerful. I'll give them that. But I'm just not a Rigid guy. I like DeWalt. But I buy Chinese shit too, so I don't give a fuck about that either. Then again, all the components inside of a DeWalt made in China. Imagine that. But hey, you can keep on, making fun of what TMR stands for. It stands for Trucker Mississippi Reject. Mississippi Reject was my dad's CB handle. I wonder why the man had a CB handle. Huh. It's as if maybe he was also a truck driver. Wow. Either way, if you're that butthurt, bro, then I don't know what to tell you. But the fact is that if I buy a tool and it came from Harbor Freight and I've got a shitload of Pittsburgh steel and icons and all of that, if I buy a tool and it does its job, regardless if it was manufactured here or manufactured in China, it did what it was intended to do. It did its job. That's the only thing I care about. I don't give a fuck about, oh, well, you need to buy a snap on. I've watched my uncle snap, literally snap ratchets, snap wrenches by snap on, but nobody believes it. I watched it with my own two eyes. He'll tell you out of his own mouth. He had a damn Milwaukee Impact, broke it, second use. He heard all the hype about Milwaukee. He transferred over to Earthquake. And peep this, whenever I was putting on running boards on my other truck, I dropped that motherfucker and broke it. I broke his Earthquake XT Impact, snapped it in half because the way it fell on the ground. So he had to go all the way down to Hattiesburg to get another one because nobody else had one, and it was like $350, I think. And I thought the man was shit out of me. So I found him the Impact, and I went to him. I said, "Man, I feel so bad." So I handed him $350. He handed it back to me. He says, "No, At least you owned up to your mistake. And that's all that I really want you guys to do. He said, shit happens. I said, man, Unc, I thought you were going to kill me. He's like, nah. He's like, but at least you did own up to your mistake. So he's been using those earthquakes for quite a while now. And he ain't had no problems with them except for whenever I dropped it and it broke it right on the fucking nose. And we're talking about I dropped it from a good 10, 12 feet because my truck was in the air. Yeah, he wasn't happy. But either way, when it comes to tools, I don't care. I will use Pittsburgh. I will use Power Smart. I got a really good deal before Christmas at Tractor Supply because I used to work for this company called Premier, and I was on the Tractor Supply account, and I found a 200-piece tool set for like $60 on sale at Tractor Supply. I bought that shit. Friend of mine's like, nah, man, you need to buy this. Nah, I've been using that shit for I don't know how long. I went to Harbor Freight and got every single one of my impact sockets. I've got DeWalt impacts. I've got DeWalt drills. My next impact, a half inch, is probably going to be a CC. So I'm going to do a review of it on this channel here. There's a few things I'm going to be reviewing here pretty soon. So, stay tuned for that. But if you're butthurt because somebody calls you out and tells you the truth and then you just want to block somebody on this app or keep them from commenting, we can still see your shitty shit, okay? Then that's fine. That just means I win. It means you lose. I'm not going to give you the time of day. But I told you I was going to make a video response, and I have. Oh, and you're going to talk about me driving down the fucking road. Okay, and it's not illegal here. Not illegal at all. You're going to be just like that one guy. That one guy from Pittsburgh that got all uppity. All uppity. Because I did this. I don't care. I don't talk to him no more either. And look, I'm being passed by a cop. And I'm in his jurisdiction. He didn't care. And I'm even going over the speed limit a little bit. He didn't care. They don't give a fuck here. As long as you don't take your eyes off the road for too long, they don't care. Either way, in closing, if I buy an inexpensive tool and it does the fucking job, but yet you're butthurt that I bought an inexpensive, somebody tried to call me. But anyway, if I buy an inexpensive tool rather, and it does its job that it was designed to do, and it does it well, is it really a cheap tool or did you just buy the tool that you needed and that it worked at the time that you needed it? Man, I ain't spending thousands of dollars on fucking tools. I know mechanics that's got Pittsburgh steel. I know mechanics got Matco, Snap-on, all kinds of shit. And that bullshit, get the fuck out of here with that shit. Matco is a rebadged fucking DeWalt. That's all their impacts are. But electric impacts, nothing beats a good old fashioned pneumatic. That means air for those of you that are slow. Anyway, I got to call my friend back. Bye. Stay mad.